Okay. I would like to speak on a topic that I believe is, or a practice that is common to most, if not all, schools of Buddhism. Usually it goes under the name of taking refuge in the Three Jewels, but in Open Heart, we, being a tantric practice, we also take refuge in the Guru. So we have the Guru, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And that is what I want to talk about. Usually there is, at least for me in the beginning when I encountered this, there was a sort of a religious feel to it, a ritualistic feel to it, like something that you just had to say, whether you believed it or not, or whether you meant it or not. I remember I was at this Vipassana course that I attended a few years back. We had to take refuge before receiving the technique. So it was as it was a confirmation of sincerity before receiving the Vipassana technique, but it wasn't something that we practiced continuously. I have earlier, like when I practiced a Vipassana technique as instructed by Gunaratana, yeah, that guy, he mentioned that you could, if you wanted, use this as a sort of an affirmation at the outset of the practice. But there was no focus on actually feeling, or mention at least, of actually feeling what was going on. And I feel there is a lot of depth to this practice, that it contains a lot of valuable aspects. So I want to focus on that. And taking, for example, the Guru, taking refuge in the Guru. It has this aspect of connecting oneself to the non-physical Guru. In this, we are speaking about non-physical Guru, and in Open Heart, it's Padmasambhava, or Guru Rinpoche. So there is this connecting to this being, because we acknowledge that as karmic beings, we are confused. We have different levels of confusion. And we acknowledge that we sort of need help to realize our true nature. And this is being like being a non-physical Guru. Guru Rinpoche, it seems that his only wish, his only purpose is to show karmic beings their true nature, which is free of karma. So you have this, on the one sense, this relative connecting to the being, the non-physical Guru, but in taking refuge in the Guru, we also ask to be shown, or what happens is that Guru Rinpoche shows us our own true nature. This is what he has realized, and this is what he wants to show us. So you have both this sort of relative aspect and the absolute aspect of taking refuge in the Guru. In the same sense, we have taking refuge in the Buddha, which often is the first thing that many people think of when they hear the word Buddha is Shakyamuni Buddha or Gautama Buddha, the historical Buddha. And there is this charge of Shakyamuni Buddha in this practice of taking refuge in Buddha. So there is this aspect of it, but there is also the same aspect, the same absolute aspect of Buddha being the actual awakened nature of mind. Buddha meaning awakened or awake. So in the same sense, there is this relative historical Buddha, that we get the charge from Shakyamuni Buddha, and we are also shown the true nature of mind, awareness, which is the timeless Buddha, the absolute Buddha. Dharma is also, it's like the teachings and the practices which lead to recognizing the nature of mind. So we have a lot of different teachings. There are lots of different Dharma teachings. They have certain kinds of forms. They are formulated in different ways. So when we take refuge in Dharma, we are, as open heart practitioners, we acknowledge that we have the need for the open heart teachings on the relative level. Both the forms and then also the underlying principles of the teachings, which are more universal. They are not only like we have the open heart teachings, then we have the underlying principles, which are not confined to open heart. So there is also in these underlying principles, which point directly to the nature of mind, there is this absolute level also here. Yeah, and when it comes to Sangha, we are beings. As I said, we are karmic beings. So there is this sense of connecting oneself to other beings. We have Sangha can mean the practitioners, like for example in Open Heart Sangha, which we are part of, are the practitioners that practice open heart teachings, and like a fellowship there. So we take refuge in our group of friends who also practice, but also there are all practitioners of Dharma included in it. All those who have recognized that there is this basic confusion, this basic discontentment, and want to do something about it. And this is quite powerful, to connect to all of these beings who have this same motivation on different levels. Not all, you don't have to have the like a hardcore straight to Buddhahood motivation but still we connect our fields of motivation together. And in another sense, there is also still on the relative level, we connect to all beings, all human beings and all sentient beings, which are part of the bigger Sangha, the greater Sangha. So in the same sense, there is another practice which is usually also or can be considered as a small add-on practice, and that is that of wishing freedom and happiness, or wishing liberation for all beings. And this is also a similar one that has the same sort of there is a massive power in it, a potential in it to cleanse our own systems, and this can be experienced when both when taking refuge and when asking for liberation, that there is a charge coming straight from the heart, and it cleanses our own being, and it actually cleanses other beings through our interconnectedness. So we take in this practice that is the main, like when we take refuge in other beings, we also acknowledge our connectedness, interconnectedness to all relative beings. However, there is also, as with the other refuges, an absolute level, because essentially all beings have the same nature, which is empty of self, of would you say thingness or entityness. So we take also, by taking refuge in our brothers and sisters, we take refuge in mind itself, which is the essence of these beings. So this is just to show that this very simple practice, it takes a few minutes to chant, and then a few minutes afterwards, which is also like one of my points here to emphasize, to actually feel the charge, to feel what happens. And this is overlooked, I think, in many traditions, or at least it was for me before I started practicing it in this way. And what can happen if it's not emphasized is that you kind of mindlessly repeat these words, like I did. Also in the beginning of open heart practice, this was like, it comes after the Ati Yoga practice, so it seems to be sort of an add-on. Kind of sick of sitting for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then you have to do this last thing that doesn't seem so important. But if actually experienced, it seals the whole, or it contains the whole practice, and therefore you get a massive charge at the end of the practice that you can bring from the sitting practice and into everyday life. The connection to the Guru, the connection to the historical Buddha and the Buddha, the mind, the nature of mind, the teachings, we acknowledge our connection there, our motivation to practice these teachings, and we acknowledge our connection to all beings, both those who practice, those who are fortunate enough to have seen that there is a way out of confusion, that there is something we can do about discontentment, which is quite an extraordinary thing to discover. But also all beings, those who haven't, both those human beings who have not figured this out, been fortunate to figure this out yet, or had this insight, and also all beings that make up our world. And all these relative aspects have the same nature, which is the awakened mind, which is the whole point of Dharma practice. So very simple practice, which contains immense power for liberation for ourselves and other beings.